Oh boy. Okay, hold on just a darn minute. That's a good one. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. We are playing a little bit of Magic the Gathering Arena, as always. And boy, oh boy, do we have a spicy one here today. Onyx Virus has cashed in channel points on the Twitch stream to get me to brew around the card Exotic Pets. And this is an exotic one, folks. 3 mana, instant, create 2 blue fish creatures with this creature can't be blocked. All right. Then for each kind of counter among creatures you control, put a counter of that kind on either of those tokens. Okay. So, if we have a 1/1 counter, that's a type of counter. We get to put a 1/1 counter on one of the fish. Not both, but one of them. Then, if we had, let's say, a shield counter, we get to put a shield counter on one of them, not both of them. We could have 10 shield counters. We still only get 1 shield counter, right? Because for each kind of counter among the creatures, you know, you get 1, right? So, this deck was a little bit of a challenge to build because you want counters that will matter on unblockable creatures. So obviously we're running the Mechagodzilla because what the heck? All the counters, right? Among Flying, First Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, Vigilance, and 1/1 counters. And you put it on the Crystalline Giant. So of course, if we have some of those out there, the exotic pets, we get to split those counters up. The catch is, and this is what makes it a little bit challenging, Trample, not very good if your creature is unblockable, right? Flying, not very good if your creature is unblockable. First Strike is usable because technically you could be holding it back on defense, but they start so small. You have to grow them a lot before First Strike could ever matter. And at that point, you know, if you've got a 4/4 First Strike, that's a valuable creature. You probably want to be turning it sideways, though, right? So you want the First Strike still not going to matter there. Death Touch, that one's kind of good because on defense, it's good, right? You can hold it back and block if necessary and trade with a 6/6 or something. Menace, completely useless. Reach, again, not super useful, but could matter occasionally. And Vigilance can be quite good, depending. So some of the counters, real good. Some of them less good. That said, the most desirable, obviously, would be Lifelink, because then we just keep swinging in with our unblockable creatures, gaining a bunch of life back, and putting a clock on our opponent. So we have several ways of getting that. Klement, or Novice Acolyte. When it enters, creature cards in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. That's good. But we can level it up, or specialize it, or whatever, into a 3/3 lifelink. Whenever this creature specializes, you get a boon. Whenever you cast your next creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with a lifelink counter. Okay, lifelink counters can be hanging out. As well as, you know, Mechagodzilla, throw those around. Elspeth Resplendent can give us flying, First Strike, lifelink, and vigilant counters. Which, at least some of those, useful there, right? And then the Champions of Tyr can give us +1/+1 counters, flying counters, or lifelink counters on a boon after we cast the thing, right? So we're trying to get those. Notably, the Ozolith going to be storing the counters for when our creatures die and they leave the battlefield or whatever. And A-Luminarch Aspirant to throw 1/1 counters around. Brokers Ascendancy to throw 1/1 counters and potentially loyalty counters around. Venerated Loxodon to be both a good creature. You know, when you have a 4/4 that gets to become Trample and Vigilant, or a 4/4 that becomes lifelinking or flying or vigilant and, like, you know, right? Like a creature this size, all of these keywords, very good, right? So, but also throwing 1/1 counters around on the rest of the team as well. Hopefully, we can kind of curve where we do something in the early turns and then exotic pets on 3, maybe Venerated Loxodon on 4, growing the 1/1 in our unblockables into 2/2 unblockables, or at least that's the intention. Similarly, maybe exotic pets into Brokers Ascendancy or vice versa, potentially, just to grow these unblockable creatures so that they can be dealing lethal damage even through more congested board states, which hopefully our lifelink might be able to create. As far as other cards here, you know, a lot of spell casting in the mana base. We don't have any spell lands because we're very, very concentrated on having both double white and Bant colorations on 3 and 4 respectively, so, you know, definitely want to be casting our spells here, I think. That said, let's see if we can win some gains with it, shall we? Alright, folks, we are up against 000. Good luck, 000. And we're going to keep this hand. I wouldn't say we're, like, thrilled about it or anything, but it's fine. You know? Definitely on the slow side. Little exotic pet. As long as the Luminarch Aspirant stays around for the exotic pet cast, then we at least get a 1/1 counter. And again, these aren't unblockable. That's quite nice, right? Bard class. Oh, crud. Well, that's terrifying. Alright. I'll get in. And the turn. Counter goes on. Yep. And 000 has Rhythm of the Wild. Oh my goodness, they are getting set up over there. This is definitely scary. Well, exotic pets. Another exotic pets? I mean... Okay. Yeah, I think we're just going to do that. I think we're going to try and rely on a little bit unblockable damage here as best we can. So we'll see. I'm afraid our opponent might just go off and kill us all in one turn. Probably not this turn, but possibly the next turn. And that would be not ideal. But, you know, what do you do? What do you do? We do have... Oh, crud. Well. Yeah. Opponent going large. Going to be able to block our Luminarch Aspirant is not ideal. Yep. A little more unblockable. Alright, sure. Combat. Go for it. Opponent drops to 5. We have plenty of unblockable damage here. Yep. Counter. Counter. Your go, my friend. What do you say? Of course, we have exotic pets for the end of the turn as well, just in case, you know, maybe our opponent does have some kind of board sweeper. Maybe we're supposed to put all the counters on Luminarch Aspirant. Well, actually, it wouldn't have mattered. It only would have been a 5/5, because I guess they could have burned down the house or something, right? And burn down the house, you know, we still couldn't have played around it properly. So the opponent doing lots of stuff. Sure, all of these things are fine. We're not thrilled about any of this, but all of it's just fine. Claim the Firstborn. All right. You got me. Yeah. You got me. Down to 6. Counter. Yeah. And the opponent also can do math and says, I guess we are dead. And I agree. You are. GG 000. GG. Folks, here we are up against Dudamarone, 29, and I think we're going to keep this. I'm not strictly thrilled about it, but again, it's fine. I think the hand is at least good, right? I'm not sure it's amazing, but it's at least good. And drawing the Luminarch Aspirant here is quite nice. We wanted another creature for the Klement. When it just gives +2/+2, that makes it a very good card. When you're giving +3/+3, hold on, this is serious business, right? So, pretty okay with what happens here. Yep. So now our Venerated Loxodon a 5/5, our Mechagodzilla a 4/4, Luminarch Aspirant a 2/2, all of these a permanent thing. Now, of course, she can level or specialize into the 4/4. I guess I should take my turn here real quick. Hey, don't mind if I do. Drew the exotic pets right before we get a whole mess of Mechagodzilla counters. Don't mind if I do. Okay, we're going to present a trade here. We didn't expect them to take it, and they in fact did not. But this can level up into a 3/3 lifelink, and when it specializes, you get a boon with your next creature spell, or when you cast your next creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. So kind of nice, just the mono white one. The blue one is we get to seek 3 non-land permanent cards, choose one and shuffle it, or and put it in our hand, and then shuffle the rest. And then the green one is, it's a 4/4, and when it dies, leaves behind a 4/4. While we've been screwing around, our opponent has played both Enchantress's Presence and a 9 lives. So these things are tragic and marginally horrific, in my humble opinion. Combat. Gets flying. Get in. Opponent might just trade away the Jukai Naturalist. No, it elects not to yet again. Alright, well. Tenacious Pup. Luminarch Aspirant. Bunch of counters. Counter on Tenacious Pup, I suppose. Do we lose? Sanctum Weaver. Gonna draw some more cards. A whole bunch of them, actually. And another Enchantress Presence. Good heavens, so many cards. Alright. And a Destiny Spinner. Okay, I mean, we are unlikely to win now, I can tell you that. But, who knows? Stranger things have happened. Opponent needs to get to their Solemnity, of course. That's what our opponent is waiting on. Gonna discard some cards. Yep, whole bunch of them. Well, let's go to combat and get in. Opponent, as we feared, just letting their 9 lives tank all of this. Yeah. So if we do this, I don't think this is gonna matter, folks. I think we are going to lose. All right. I mean, we're gonna make them have it, obviously, but if I would be kind of surprised if they didn't have it, right? Another 9 lives. Okay, that is not Solemnity. It does draw them 3 cards, so their chances of finding Solemnity very, very good this turn. But that's not it, right? That's not it. Aha. All right. Well, let's look one more time. Yeah. All right. You got us, Dude Marone. You got us. Alright, folks, here we are up against Zalcha. Good luck, Zalcha. And, okay, we don't have our exotic pets, but we do have plenty of other countery things. Would be nice to be able to get down the flying and lifelink counters and things like that. Admittedly, the flying counter less important. We would be wanting to choose the lifelink counter, but it's also possible we go a different direction. Alright, well, Temple Garden. Join the party. Overwhelmed Apprentice. Going to be doing a little bit of milling us. Not particularly thrilled about that, but also not too broken up about it either. Tis the way of the world. Luminarch Aspirant, come on down. Start throwing counters around. Opponent goes with a second island. Merfolk's Secret Keeper, doing some more milling. Merfolk's Secret Keeper gets cast. You got it. Alright, well. Gonna pass. No attacks. Counters. Counters. I recognize this is a little bit of... You know, this is a little bit sketchy here, because it's likely they have some amount of bounce. You know, return a creature from the battlefield to its owner's hand sort of thing. But the issue is we've got to be able to get through the Merfolk Secret Keeper, otherwise they just have free blocks, right? So I think piling all of them on there is the better play. So for now, Luminarch Aspirant, get in there. Opponent takes it all right on the noggin. Well, land. Champions of Tyr. Counters. Counters. And, of course, we're spreading the love just a little bit because they don't want the Champions of Tyr to attack. If they have, oh my goodness, a second Tashacidious Laughter, that's not ideal. All right. Well, you got it. Double team. Champions of Tyr. Yeah, opponent gonna take the free block and a chump block here. Take 5. Do you have a third Tashacidious Laughter, opponent? I guess that's what we're looking at here. Not thrilled about it if you do, but alas, it is what it is. I think if they do, we do lose. Putting, of course, both counters in the air here because that makes our flying attack lethal. Opponent does not have the bounce, and we do get the win. Holy crud. Thank heavens. Good lord. Whew, that was a close one. Alright, folks, here we are up against Z-Pangenics. We'll keep this. And see what happens. Goes with Cleric class A. Well, we are moving very, very slow, unfortunately. But apparently our opponent is going to be moving slowly as well. Youthful Valkyrie is the play. So, okay, yeah, let's... This is fine. Luminarch Aspirant, join the party. Counter goes on, pass turn, see what happens. Hopefully our opponent doesn't, you know, go off here. But unless they come up with Giada or Collected Company, and we don't even know they have green mana yet. Presumably they do, but no guarantees. It's kind of difficult for them to just go off. Once they get to Righteous Valkyrie, then all bets are off. You know, that's a dangerous time indeed. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. All right, so Mechagodzilla comes down, gets a reach counter. And we throw the +1/+1 counter on it as well, because now, darn it, we can block these Youthful Valkyries. Kind of nice. Our opponent might not even realize, honestly. The reach counter will often catch flyers off guard. Oh boy, not this time though. Not this time though. Okay, so no land. We were hoping to be able to Ozolith and exotic pets, but this is fine. Okay. Yeah, going to grow the Mechagodzilla again, so even if they do have an angel, the Youthful Valkyrie doesn't grow. Or, I mean, is still within reach. Opponent. Thinking things over. Doesn't know the exotic pets are on the way. Soul Warden. Alright, well, jig's up. We're gonna do it now. So that they don't gain extra life when we do this, you know? Menace counters on our unblockable creatures. Not quite where we typically want to be, but you know how it is. Oh boy. Okay, hold on just a darn minute. That's a good one. So combat gets vigilance. You know what? Fine. Our opponent can do a little bit of trading here if they want, but I was going to say, I expect them to just take it. They're going to try and outgrow us. What they don't know is here comes Brokers Ascendancy. And all this unblockable damage is going to start adding up pretty darned quick, folks. Pretty darned quick indeed. Opponent, though, might just like be on the level up cleric class, play a land, play another 1-drop sort of thing, or something like that. Another Youthful Valkyrie. Okay. I mean, that's fine. Gonna do some life gaining. Gonna grow the other Youthful Valkyries. But remember, we still have Reach. Right? That's... Our opponent's still in an awkward spot. And sure enough, they don't have any, you know, honest-to-goodness real-life recourse there. So, can kick down the road, so to speak. And we're gonna crash in. This is, again, a lot of damage. We have the Boon of Safety just waiting in the wings here to protect our Mechagodzilla should we elect to fire it off. Our opponent might just, at some point here, decide, let's throw everything in front of Mechagodzilla. And boy, the Boon of Safety would come in handy there, wouldn't it? Alright. Blocks. 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 Yep. Well, opponent, we actually are going to bottom the land. I think we would have been happy to draw a land, but considering the current game state, you know, where we're at, I think we would be just as happy not getting a land and just drawing more action. We have just really developed our board in earnest here. Our opponent willing to trade off 3 separate 2-drops for our single 3-drop here, and unable to gain any traction in the endeavor, and now finally decides, you know what? I'm done. I've had enough. GG. And you know what? GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Wingswoo. Yeah, good luck, Wingswoo. This hand is weird, but I definitely think it's a keeper. Yeah, because admittedly the exotic pets are going to come down and not really get counters because the Tenacious Pup doesn't give them, but the Venerated Loxodon growing on unblockable creatures is kind of a strong thing, so I think we're going to do that. Currently, I think it's just get Tenacious Pup down and see if we draw into something for next turn, because then, you know, that might change the sequencing here. But for now, we're planning on a Spara's headquarters on turn 2. You know, pass turn, see what happens. Opponent goes with Thermo Alchemist. That's not ideal. All right, well, sure enough, no attacks. Well, you know, we're it's not looking good. You know, we're living dangerously up against the mono red deck. When you let them untap with the Thermo Alchemist, you know you're going to be taking some damage. So the question is, how much? Is it like shock? You know, tap it, shock, tap it. The 3 damage sorcery, whatever that's called, with Spectacle, right? Or something like that. You know, if there are too many of those sort of situations, yeah, we're in a great deal of trouble. If it's just like, oh, you know, play another creature or something, then, you know, we're not feeling nearly as threatened, but obviously, we're not off to a very quick start either, so... opponent does start things off with Thermo Alchemist and lights up the stage. Okay, well, that's not nearly as dangerous as we were worried about. Okay, Invoke Calamity is in their deck. That is wild. Opponent has Kessig Flame Breather, which... yeah, that's terrifying. Okay, so for now, just going to hang on. Thermo Alchemist going to tap. Hit us just a wee bit. And gonna play with fire. Everybody deals some damage. All of it. Yep, damage, damage, damage. Yep, down to 15. Doing a little scrying, 4 cards in hand. That's a lot of cards in hand, folks. Scry goes bottom. And lights up the stage again. Thermo Alchemist. Gets tapped. Gets untapped. Cards show up. Toralf's Disciple. Kumano faces Kakazan. Appear. Well, you know, these things all terrifying. Kumano faces Kakazan happens. Kessig Flame Breaker, or Flame Breather, hits us. Down to 12. Down to 11. Thermo Alchemist, of course, still can be tapped. Not great, folks. Not great. Well, Exotic pets. Join the party. Get no counters. That's not what we're trying to do with this deck, but it is what it is. All right. Fine. I think we still do this, yeah. Tenacious Pup. And Venerated Loxodon. Yes. All right. Opponent going to be able to tap the Thermal Alchemist. The question is, are we dead this turn? That's the real question here, I think. And I'm just not confident about surviving. You know, like that's the worrisome part here. Because Toralf's Disciple going to come down as a 4/4. We will trade with the Venerated Loxodon. It's true we could have given the counter over to the Venerated Loxodon, but I think we want to keep the Luminarch Aspirant around if we can. Opponent shocks our face. Okay, yeah, actually, if they're just going about it this way, there's a good chance we're already dead. They just have the requisite damage. I think this game... Screw the critics. Yeah, going to demonstrate how slow decks do against mono red. Typically poorly. GG, Wingswoo. GG. All right, folks. Wrath Maniac, our next opponent. And it looks like we're going to start off on a Temple Garden and a Ozolith. We're going to go ahead and play this Breeding Pool as well. This time tap, though. We don't really have anything else going on here. Decidedly inconvenient. Our opponent goes with Plains, Crawling Barrens, and a Guardian Idol. Thank heavens. All right, so we do draw the third land. Very, very good, because now we have Brokers Ascendancies and exotic pets and all manner of nonsense here. Our opponent, though, off to the races with a Mystic Forge coming down. Exile the top card. Oh, Nettle Cyst. Interesting. So they're going to be doing... Haha. A little bit of more aggressive style artifacts, presumably. Not just Ugins and Ulamogs, but also, you know, flooding the board and trying to kill us in different ways as well. So Aetherflux Reservoir comes down. Not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. All right. And exotic pets. Join the party. Yep. Counters, counters. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're actually going to go like this. And like that. I don't think the Mechagodzilla specifically needs a counter. But the good news is, if our opponent does have, like, I don't know, Ulamog or something like that, or I'm sorry, Ugin or something like that, it's going to clean off all of our permanents with a color, but not our colorless permanents. So all these will go away. All the counters will get stacked up on the Ozolith, which will then immediately be transferred over to the Crystal Giant. So, you know, for now, we're looking pretty good. We'll just have to see now if our opponent, like, combos off this turn. If they have Paradox Engine into, like, I don't know, anything. Untap their stuff. Things can get messy in a hurry, right? Opponent has a Shadow Spear, going to gain a life. That's the first spell for the turn. And opponent getting ready to pass here. Mystic Forge exiles top card of their library. Goes to the second main. I mean, we've got lethal, so our opponent is going to need to block with their Guardian Idol. But I think this is all okay. Gets first strike. All right. Opponent. Guardian Idol becomes active. Going to block our Luminarch Aspirant, or just try and protect as much damage as possible. Does protect as much damage as possible. All right. Opponent drops to 11. Takes a good chunk of damage down to 5, and is really hoping to just combo off and kill us this upcoming turn. But losing the Guardian Idol there, not an insignificant loss. Yeah. Luminarch Aspirant. Luminarch Aspirant. And your go, Wrathmaniac. Your go. Decides to Ghost Quarter their own land. Looking for a Plains, presumably. It is. Please, please, please tell me they don't have Land Wrath of God. That's what we want to avoid here. Or Doomscar. Or I'm sorry, Day of Judgment or something. Okay, so they foretell a Doomscar. And scoop them up. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. All right, well, GG. Opponent, GG. That was a close one. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Boy, boy, those games were wild, weren't they? We had pretty reasonable luck, I think. It definitely had some really sweet games. Definitely some games where there was a bummer here or there, but you know, it was a lot of fun. I definitely do not regret building this deck. I think it was a blast. As far as things we might do differently, I don't know. You know, again, we might try to do maybe more of the Klement stuff perhaps in the future if we had more creatures. The current build, though, only 22 creatures, so it's not like our hand is going to be flooded with creatures. So, you know, maybe iffy. Maybe if we were all in on the fish and these just happen to be maybe a part of the deck, you might say, maybe we could go with something like, you know, more 4-drops instead of the Venerated Loxodon, which oftentimes are actually 3-drops. Or maybe we could just do away with Elspeth entirely and go with something more condensed, like this stuff, and maybe get some more 1-drops or 2-drops, and just really focus in on these things. But we really, really wanted to show off what the exotic pets can do, and considering Elspeth can throw around the lifelink and vigilant counters as well as 1/1 counters, all of those quite relevant on the fish. So we figured, you know, maybe worth a try there. That said, another direction you might go is, instead of maybe like the Boon of Safeties, maybe we could go with something like a couple Hardened Scales. We're already doing plenty of 1/1 counters. With the Luminarch Aspirants, that's very, very good. With the Brokers Ascendancy, it's very good. With the Venerated Loxodon, it's very good. The Champions of Tyr can throw around 1/1 counters. If we are playing around with Elspeth still, it's quite good there as well. And the Klement, much less so, but who knows? Maybe that means the Klement can just go then, and we'll do something else at 2. And that might be a possible option as well. That said, huge thank you to Onyx Virus for proposing this stipulation and spending the points to do so. I look forward to interfacing with you again on the stream, my friend. That said, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you next time.